Hi, my name is Christina Ewen from the Sunshine District, and we are looking at MyWritingLab for composition today. We're going to start out with writing skills, which right when we log in on the left side of the screen here is you'll see writing skills. And at the top here you'll see both writing practice and then also writing grammar research here, which is what we're looking at is the learning path modules. These are each skill sets that have been designated as the skill sets for writing and composition. So we can go ahead and look at one as an example for the rest of the skill sets. So in each one of those that you just saw, you will see this whole set of activities. For example, the first one would be take the skills check for understanding basic grammar. So the way that we've built this one out is that students take a diagnostic individually in each module instead of having to sit down and take an excessively long diagnostic on all of the skill sets at one time. So we can take a look at that for just a second. We've already actually done this one, but we're going to go ahead and do it again. What you'll notice here is that there's no help. It's considered high stakes. It's geared to see what the student really knows, what they need to remediate on, and what they need to work on and what they already know. So per finishing this, that will tell the system kind of what areas the student's a little weak in and needs to go back and work on. So past that, we're going to have the activities or the content that the student's going to work through after they take that. So these were all the areas that diagnostic is going to look at and that students will need to master in understanding basic grammar. We can get into mastery a little bit later and what that really means. And it does put you in complete control of what your institution considers mastery. So again, this is for each one of the skill sets or modules that we saw before. There'll be a short overview. You can take a look at what that looks like. Again, we have audio here for ADA compliance, and definitely helps students to listen sometimes as well as read along. So basic overview of the parts of speech or this individual skill set. Going back, we'll have a short animation, which you can take a look at that as well.
Parts of speech, phrases, and clauses. Use this introduction for reference and to review basic grammar. There are 3 sections: parts of speech, phrases, and clauses. Parts of speech.
And you can kind of get the idea there. It's just a good, engaging way for students to get a little bit more remediation on some of those tools. Recall is exactly what it sounds like. Just a few questions that are very basic to help them follow along as they're learning. Again, this isn't high stakes. It's geared to help the students actually learn the material a bit further. There's Ask My Instructor, which I think is great. It'll actually email you this question and how they answered it and what they're doing. So you can have that. The glossary is right here as well as the animation. So really helping students figure out what some of this information is and help them learn this further. So past recall, they'll be asked to do an activity called apply. So apply here is they're going to go through and see kind of an example of an essay or piece of writing, and they'll be asked, for example here, find the dependent clauses in this paragraph. Identify each one. You can click on the first word of the clause. So, just to pick one, I can say alcohol here, incorrect. I can try again. But that's kind of how that particular one works. So it's really asking them to not just understand the memorizing the definition of what this concept is, but to actually go ahead and apply that. Post that, they'll have a writing assignment. And we'll go into how to create this briefly in a little bit, but the writing assignment's great because it forces students to, again, this is a writing lab, to actually write. So you can actually assign or put in here the assignment instructions. It's a document. You can have resources. You can have a link in here to some sort of data or information that you want the student to write on. All sorts of different tools here to help them. Again, looks just like a Word setup here. So it's also a dictionary here, just all sorts of tools that you probably would not see in a Word application. So to the next one, then they're going to go ahead and take a post test on this one skill set. So again, it's high stakes. They're not going to have that glossary and ask instructor, and it's aimed to see again what the student really does know and how much they've learned since that initial test that they took. So that is that one module. So it's really an extensive view of just this one module of basic grammar. Go on back again, you can see how many there are. This is aimed to be, you can make this as extensive as you want. Again, you saw all of those activities, but if you go down to Activities Manager, you really can control what you want to be there. So this is where you would change. Maybe you don't want the student to have to do all of these for everything. It's completely customizable to how you want your course and how extensive or basic you would like it to be. So since we're here in Activities Manager, this is where we'll also create assignments. So again, you can do create assignment. Let's create a writing assignment. Could say assignment 1. Everything goes through turnitin.com. Submissions here, so you can have it reviewed for originality. Make sure that everything's following as it should, and the percentage of similarity will also show up for you as well. Another great feature is students can review papers from their peer group, so provide feedback that way. As well as you'll see here, you can add any additional resources kind of as we go along here, and you could also use your own rubric. You can have the rubric that we've used if you're using if it's a writing tool that we've already established. So that's a lot of functionality there. Again, come back up to writing practice. That's where we were before. So you'll note that we were on writing skills and we went through all of these. There's writing practice here, which can also be accessed from the tab right here. You'll see all of these activities to complete papers. So again, MyWritingLab, we're going to do a good amount of writing here. You'll see draft 1 and draft 2 and draft 3. Now on each of these, students were able to get instant feedback on all 3 of these drafts. So this is where they're really going to be able to practice that writing, so that when they do a writing assignment, they've already gotten some feedback. They've already had a significant amount of feedback put into it, so they've really improved by the time they get to an assignment that you're grading. Which brings me to Smart Thinking. Smart Thinking is a great tool that we have available to students with MyWritingLab. It's Pearson Tutor Services, and it automatically comes with 3 free submissions, so students can write their papers, and we'll have a team of very qualified online tutors carefully review the submissions, so for all of these different content areas. So really a great help to you as a faculty to just have a whole other team of people looking at these students' papers for content development, use of resources, just things that really do require someone to carefully review and give feedback. And we all know that, the team or a class of a couple hundred, it's hard to really get in there and maybe provide the amount of drafts that you'd like on a weekly basis, or have students submit the amount of drafts that you'd like on a weekly basis, just from a grading perspective. So great tool here. Coming down to student tools, you'll see the multimedia library. Again, students have access to see all of this. The instructors only instructors will have access to ones with this symbol next to it. But multimedia library, they can go through, you can pick one here on narrating, for example, and say I want to see the video that goes with it. Unfortunately, that one doesn't have one, but you'll note that most of these will have something that goes with it, but maybe not all of the different types of of tools there. So you'll see the glossary for describing in C3-1 there. The grade book, we did go through Activities Manager already. The grade book, you'll notice you can export data. So really helpful to us all, or if you're using Blackboard. We will have a Canvas integration here over the spring, so we can get our grades transferred depending upon what LMS your school is using. But from a grading perspective, you can look at it specifically by student, you can look at all assignments, you can look at all students together. What I really like is performance by module. You can really see what areas is your class doing really well in, what modules are your students tending to struggle in. So if this is an in-class format, you can really see, hey, majority of my class is struggling in this module. Why is that? Maybe I can add something to my lecture next class of just focusing in on those topics. So this is really cool, and it'll provide some great data back to you as a faculty. You'll see incompletes. Again, you can look at it like from the learning path. So these are going to be that content that the student is working through after they take the pre-test, the content, the post-test. You can see we've got a very famous student body here that they haven't done too much work in here yet, but you would be able to kind of see that. So very, very extensive grade book that can provide some great data back to you, as well as on the individual student and the entire class. So one other thing I'd like to point out is the Path Manager, and something that you'll see here is Newton. Newton is our adaptive learning engine. So you will see that back when we were in the Content Manager or in the writing skills here, that we can actually have these set up if you're doing, for example, maybe a compressed type course or compressed course module where you're letting students kind of work at their own pace and test out of skill sets. These will adapt exactly to how the student is learning and the order in which they're learning these concepts, and then be able to adapt to what it is that they're understanding and what they're not. So that's a great feature to use. It does need to be turned on before any students are enrolled in the course if you so choose to use it, and you can do that right here. We have students enrolled in this course, so it's not going to let us turn that on. But again, you can see the customization that's allowed here. Specifically, I wanted to talk about the mastery requirement. So right now we've got this set to 80%. That means that students need to get 80% of, say, one of those content modules correct to be considered mastered. Your institution might say it needs to be 90%, or they might say 70%. So it really does allow you, put you in control of what you deem as a student mastering a skill set or a concept. So that is completely customizable there. And again, you can even do this for the grammar skills for non-native speakers. That's over here. So you can, if you've got a non-native speaker, it's going to be a little bit different, but that's in here as well. So that's a very brief overview of some of the great tools within MyWritingLab for comp. And I look forward to going through this with you in a little bit more detail, hopefully soon, but I appreciate your time. Thanks.